Hello everyone, my name is Brianna Wojnar, and today I'm going to be discussing Nike, but more specifically, their relatively new Dynamo Go Fly Ease running shoe slash sneaker. First, to introduce the shoes, I'm going to show the advertisement for them. Next, I'm going to give some background of the parent company, Nike. I would think that pretty much everyone knows of Nike or has at least heard of them. They are without a doubt one of the most easily recognizable brands in the world, in my opinion. But how did Nike get to this world famous status? Well, it actually started in the state of Oregon, in the cities of Eugene and Springfield, with a man named Bill Bowerman. Mr. Bowerman was a track coach at the University of Oregon. He ended up creating a waffle iron fashion rubber sole running shoe, but he wanted to refine it and then actually market it to the public. So for help, he turned to Phil Knight, and you can see a picture of the boy on the left and then Bill on the right. This was one of the middle distance runners that was for Bill Bowerman. He was one of the runners. And at Hayward Field, during track meets, they would actually sell these running shoes that Bill created out of the back of his car. And this eventually led to the start of something amazing. And due to this success, it eventually led to the establishment of a running shoe company called Blue Ribbon Sports on January 25th, 1964. And it eventually changed its name to Nike on May 30th, 1971, after the Greek goddess of victory. Also, it would be wrong to talk about Nike without touching upon their logo and slogan. As we just learned, Nike got its name for a Greek goddess. And guess what? So did its logo. Since the goddess was known for her speed and strength, a graphic design student at Portland State University named Carolyn Davidson drew inspiration from the goddess's wings. She went crazy. She created so many different variations, and it ended up taking 17 and a half hours of designing. And after all that work, the swoosh as we know it today came to be in 1971. So next we'll talk about the slogan. And Dan Whedon, is considered the curator of the tagline or slogan. So he is the head of an advertising agency called Whedon and Kennedy, but he actually attributes its origin to the final words of a murderer named Gary Gilmore on January 17th, 1977. His final words before being executed were, "Let's do it." Whedon liked the do it part of it, so he eventually came up with "Just Do It." So now we're going to talk about the product I selected, which is the Dynamo Go Fly Ease running shoe slash sneaker. And these were available in 2015 to the public to purchase. And this was considered Nike's first ever hands-free shoe. And as you saw in the ad, there's no laces. This allows individuals to avoid the trouble of tying their shoes, which we know many kids have trouble with, and to account for all ages and circumstances of people. Nike designed 4 different types of Nike Fly Ease running shoes. So my project is on one of those in particular, which is the Dynamo Go ones. And those were smaller in size and they were only for kids, so they were in kids sizes. And with the no laces again, you don't have to worry about kids saying, "Mommy, can you tie my shoe?" And so that gave them a little self-sufficiency. And it was meant to resemble a slip-on shoe, but you could run in it, basically. And it was soft like a pillow. It was really stable, and as you can see, the squishy, wavy lines are not just for design purposes, but they help with stability as well, and safety. And then also the shoes come in so many different sizes. I mean, colors, excuse me. They also come in different sizes as well for kids. But they come in a variety of different colors. So next we're going to talk about the SWOT analysis, strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. For the strengths, we have they're a very well-known brand, as I said earlier, since it's easily recognizable by many. And that goes for its logo and slogan. And then, because of this well-famous status, they are very high demand and needed and wanted by many people. Personally, I'm one of those people. And also they do celebrity endorsement. And two examples of people that come in and showcase their products on their ads are Michael Jordan and LeBron James, specifically for their basketball shoe. And then we also have that they own other popular brands, and examples of that are Jordan and Converse. And because of all this, people have grown loyal and trust them, so they have a huge customer base, and they're also really, really big on social media. And as I'll explain later in the presentation about how they align more with their mission and purpose, specifically towards the shoe I picked. So now we'll go to the weaknesses. So Nike actually doesn't manufacture their products, they only market and sell them, and I did not know that. So this forces Nike to have a dedicated manufacturer or give their jobs to other people to manufacture them. So basically, they get other people to manufacture them, and then they go and sell them. And so also Nike has a lack of diversification in other industries besides footwear. I would say that they're pretty diversified in the footwear industry, especially because the Dynamo Go is another subcategory of four other fly shoes. So I would say they're definitely diversified there, but in other areas I feel like they're not. So that's a weakness. And then also they're highly dependent on the United States market. So if America changed their legal policies, then Nike may suffer. So also they have poor working conditions in foreign countries. So for example, they actually had forced and child labor, low wages, and unsafe working conditions. And lastly, Nike has a lack of its own retailers. It actually has been reducing the number of traditional retailers it sells over the past few years. So next we're going to talk about opportunities. And I actually read on Nike's website that they serve 3 countries in total. So I think that's obviously a lot, but I think they can expand their business to new and emerging markets and sell their products more internationally, and that would help with a less reliance on the US markets, which was discussed as a weakness. And they can become a responsible manufacturer to know where their products come from and how workers are being treated. So this kind of aligns with the working conditions and how if they do that, that would help alleviate those issues or weaknesses. And then they can also take advantage of new technology to create more innovative products and help with their marketing efforts. So I feel like the shoe specifically, they definitely did that with the shoe in terms of technology, which I'll go into more detail later. And then threats. So Nike has intense competition like all businesses pretty much. But I also read about how they have a higher risk of receiving counterfeit products to sell. This is because, again, they're not manufacturing them, so that's where the lower price material is being used to make lower quality material comes into play. And there's also a constant threat of new market contenders, like always. And then also, there's always a threat of an economic instability or recession. Just like the Great Depression in the 1900s, that's an example, can always hurt Nike's revenue. So, as we learned throughout the semester, a mission statement is like something that tells people what the organization is all about, what their foundation is, what their purpose for existing, essentially. And so Nike's is to bring inspiration and innovation to every athlete in the world. I always purchased from Nike, but I never seen their mission statement, so I thought this was interesting. And also, they say if you have a body, you are an athlete. So they basically want to help every person, no matter their background or anything, get active, and that's kind of like the main thing for that. I was just every athlete in the world, that's kind of like the main thing. But I feel like the mission statement was kind of generic, so I feel like they went to more of a purpose statement, which we learned was about that's more specific. And Nike believes in making the world a better place and moving it forward through the power of sport by placing emphasis on people, planet, and play. So first, they believe in diversity and inclusion. And this shoe that I picked was actually created because a kid with cerebral palsy who was 16, his name was Matthew Welzer. This is back in 2012. He actually asked Nike to make this shoe for him. So that's how all started. It's because he couldn't tie his shoe when he was going to college, and he didn't want to feel worrying about that, and he wanted to be self-sufficient. So this is how it actually began. And then Toby Hatfield is somebody from Nike, and he ended up creating this design for him specifically, and then that launched all of these different Fly shoes, one of them being Dynamo Go, which is the one I'm talking about. And then for Planet, they actually started these recyclable programs, which I wasn't aware of, where you can bring back old shoes and they'll either reuse them or donate them to nonprofit organizations. And this is a part of their Move to Zero journey towards zero carbon and zero waste, which goes back to protecting the environment. And the foam on the shoe that I picked actually is recyclable, which I thought was interesting. And then for play, it just kind of goes back to what I said earlier about giving everybody, no matter their background, gender, age, anything, they're just trying to give everybody the opportunity to be in sports. So these shoes really help disabled kids specifically, which I'll go into later with the target audience, but that's really what this is about. So now we're going to talk about the environmental factors that affect Nike, and as well as the shoe that I'm talking about, the Dynamo Go Fly Ease running shoe. So the first factor is the competitive environment, and as you can see there, Nike operates in an oligopolistic market structure with only a few other worthy large firm competitors such as Adidas and Under Armour as some examples. So basically Nike is a place where there's only a few others that are really similar to it. Other sportswear companies in this case, since Nike's that, and they really have to be able to stand out amongst them because they're all close substitutes. So that's why they also adopted the sustainable competitive advantage. And this running slip-on shoe is not seen in Under Armour or Adidas as an example. So they are able to really stay on top of them in that way by taking that advantage. So the economic factors. So as mentioned earlier, Nike is highly dependent on U.S. markets. And so again, with the Great Depression, many businesses failed, so that can be a factor if that were to occur. And then also we have inflation with the rise in prices. With the shoe, if say the shoe was gonna be, if the prices rose, the question is, are people willing to pay more for shoes? So now we'll go to the technological factors. So artificial intelligence is really becoming a thing now. So they actually use it for the online selling of shoes. This makes it more convenient for people so that they can get their questions answered quickly. And Nike also has an app that I read about this semester that provides hyper-accurate shoe fitting recommendations by scanning your foot using a smartphone camera. So I never knew about that before, so that was really interesting. And this has completely changed the way that people buy running sneakers because they do not even need to get out of their bed to buy them. So also, next thing is Nike also uses machine learning to help make informed product recommendations to the consumer. And then we also have the metaverse, which is a virtual reality space where users can interact with the environment and other users to create and sell virtual sneakers, which I also think is super cool. And then lastly, they have a research lab that provides a space where sports scientists and designers come together and invent never-before-seen solutions, such as the Dynamo Go shoe that I've picked for this. And now we're going to move on to political factors. So Nike already operates in the international market, so they need to be vigilant of political instability if this were to occur. So Nike's supply chains and distribution channels could suffer, and this will not be good for Nike's business. So remember that Nike does not manufacture their products. So if trade rules were to change, that could be detrimental for Nike and the selling of their running sneakers. And then lastly, we have tariffs, and trade regulations can also have significant cost implications as well as affect Nike's profit. So now we'll move on to legal. So we have product safety laws. And the Consumer Product Safety Act of 1972 set up this Consumer Product Safety Commission, and basically this has the power to set safety standards and can force a product off the market. And then again, since Nike does not currently manufacture their products, they can easily run into this issue since they are not physically there to keep an eye on the creation process of their products. So lastly, we're going to move on to cultural and social, and due to the growing concerns of climate change, more pressure is placed on companies to make products that are creating a better world. So the Dynamo Go sneakers were actually created with the foam material that can be recycled. We have demographic trends as well, and we have age and lifestyle. So age, for that we have kids is for this shoe specifically. It's only kid sizes. And then demographic trends for lifestyle is especially with COVID-19, there's more emphasis on putting physical activity up there on the list because with COVID we were homebound, so physical activity is really becoming something that people are into with health and fitness. So I feel like that is also a demographic trend as well. Now we're talking about the target market. So the target market for this shoe is are kids with disabilities or disadvantages. And as you saw in the video, there's a little girl with glasses who is in a wheelchair or something like that, and that helps her to get around. So to segment this, we're going to do demographic dimension, behavioral dimension, and geographic dimension. For the demographic dimension, we're going to consider age. Again, it's kids, like I said, but now, I went on the website, and there is baby/toddler and little kid/preschool. And there's different sizes, so it goes from one size to up to a certain size, and then the next part, which is little kids to preschool, goes from a size to the next size. So, it has, a range for kids. So that segments those people, and then obviously boys and girls. So there's like any color you can think of. There's so many different kinds. So they account for all colors. And then disability status, with the hands-freeness, it takes account people with physical disabilities that maybe can't use their hands to put on the shoe, but also people with vision loss, and there's no laces, so they don't really have to see to tie their shoes. So now we have income level, and like there's discounts offered throughout the year with the shoe, so that helps both higher and lower income families. And then we have behavioral, which refers to needs, so that in general is just, it's for the needs of the disabled person. And then brand familiarity. So Nike, as I said, is really popular. So like a lot of people trust and are loyal to them, and then create good relationships with that. So if people are loyal and trust Nike, then they would purchase from them, most likely, if they had good experience with them. So then we have kind of shopping. So they have in-person and online, and they made a lot of enhancements online, like I said, with the app and AI intelligence, stuff like that. But basically, like in person, you can go and see what size you are, but online, you can do the same with the app. So they're really helping people that can't get to a physical store, especially disabled people, and like if their caregivers can't get them there as well, then that helps that as well. And then also we have psychographics and lifestyle, and as the mission statement said, it creates inclusivity, inclusion, or diversity. So like this shoe is accounting for people that may feel left out or something. So this helps them be able to get involved and play with the other kids. And then we have environmentally conscious, as we said, throughout recyclable foam and programs. And then lastly, we're going to talk about geographic. So the location, you have to consider both the kid and the caregiver. So Nike primarily operates in North America. So by knowing that, they could target disability centers and services for disabled children primarily, to really get their shoe product showcased to them. So now we're going to talk about the perceptual map, and as you can see on the right, I have 4 competitors, which are Adidas, Puma, Skechers, and Under Armour. And I've considered the attributes of color choices / options, as well as comfort level. And on the website, I used the website and like customer reviews for these numbers. So more specifically, I found that Nike has 9 variations or color choices / options, and then we have Under Armour with 14, Adidas with 7, Puma with 3, and Skechers with 3. So you can see how that works out with the numbers there on the left, as well as the right. And then we have comfort level, and I have some notes here about each one. So Nike has soft and flexible textile to improve comfort. So they are the highest. As you'll see, the other ones are Under Armour lax. It says it actually lacks softy, bouncy cushioning feel of other models. I believe that was a customer review. And then Adidas, the cushioning feels super light and comfy. So that's why that's at 4. And then we have Puma, which provides support and comfort and is soft, at 3.5. And then Skechers at 2. It just has a soft heather jersey knit upper part. So that's how I got my numbers from for this little chart here. Now we'll talk about the market share / size of my chosen product. And so my product as shoes, they fall under the footwear industry. And since this is such a relatively new shoe and there's so many subcategories, I couldn't find the market share / size for this specific shoe. So I considered the footwear industry as a total, sort of. So I kind of did Nike is 27.4%. You can see on the right side, it has Adidas as an example, and then others. So this means that Nike's global market share in this area is 27.4, and that percentage shows how much business this specific type of product has in comparison to its competitors. And there's some examples of competitors there, which I've already talked about. And we also have, I wrote that it's pretty high. I would say, I know it's not over 50, but like, I feel like it was pretty high compared to all the other ones, considering that there is more competitors as well. And I think that the reasoning behind this is like, they can quickly adapt to changes in the marketplace and like jump on new trends and create unique things from it to really get above the competitors. So that's why they're very, very innovative and utilize technology a lot to do that. So, packaging. So this I found really interesting actually, because personally I've never seen that box on the right. It's been a while since I've been in Nike, honestly, so I'm still a loyal customer. But on the left, you'll notice the orange box with the logo. There's two different variations. That's the one I'm aware of. And I've actually read about Nike was having these supply chain theft problems because of the visible brand logo on their shoe boxes, and they have attempted to improve their security throughout their supply chains by implementing higher security measures such as police officers. And so they kind of made a little change here. As you can see, the arrows say, well, now we're going to go to this. So now we have a one box. So Rich Hastings and Erica Swanson actually created this new box, and it's a single box instead of a double box. So that also helps with reducing the waste, makes it sustainable. And that was a part of the Move to Zero initiative, which was about sustainability, as I mentioned earlier. And then this box became logo free, so that it doesn't have the big logo on it. So that ultimately went back to the fact with the supply chain problems. So it kind of solved all that. And they're also reducing waste at the same time. So this is what they used. They changed the orange box to this box, and that's what they use now. And they're really sticking to their mission with sustainability. So now I'm going to talk about my opinion of this assignment as well as what I've learned. So overall, I just love the concept and idea of this assignment. How we were able to choose our own brand, product, and ad, and then research each week specific things about it. And like, I felt like over time, each week, it like forced me to learn something new. And then we developed like this PowerPoint over time. And I felt like everything we were supposed to research each week made sense chronologically. Like we weren't skipping steps or anything like that. It just made sense and all flew together for my personal project at least. So I thought that was really interesting and really fun. And also, as a graphic design major, PowerPoints I love creating, so I really enjoyed this aspect of it, specifically the designing part. And I had the color scheme going, as well as like the product brand throughout the PowerPoint, so I really enjoyed making it. And then what I learned, as I've already stated, I did not know that Nike did not manufacture the products. I mean, I never really thought about it, but I did not know that. And then the sustainability efforts, I didn't really know about either, but I'm pretty sure that's pretty recent in the 2020s, so I guess I just never thought about it either. But that's really interesting with the box change specifically. I really did not know about that. The Dynamo Go shoe, I loved how it was created from insights from the disabled community, and that kid basically asked Nike to see if they would create a shoe that met his needs. And this was the only brand to ever do so. And this kid even expressed his disappointment in other brands to not do that. So I thought that how this shoe was like made was really different and unique. And I thought that obviously all brands start small because, you know, they're a new idea, but I just can't imagine Nike starting so small. And I thought it was really interesting how they were out selling outside that car, and now they are this world phenomenon. 400 retail stores in 3 countries, and it's just insane how that could happen. It really goes to show that anyone can have a dream and make it reality. You just have to take the initiative and start. So now I'm just curious how other brands started as well. I feel like they all have similar unique stories, which I would love to read into as well. So that's the end. So I'll have references here. Yeah, and that's the end. Thank you everyone for your time. I really appreciate it.